All right, class, this is chapter 6, and it is on the federal bureaucracy. And all I'll say about bureaucracy is that it's there, which means it's a function of how our government operates. The definition, as it states here, it says, management or administration marked by hierarchical authority among numerous offices and non-elected officials. So what does that mean? That means in plain terms that there is a order to how things are done, how assignments are filled, how positions are filled, and that there is a structure to how it happens, right? So that's what bureaucracy. So it's just like when you go to the DMV and you go to get a driver's license or something, and you're like standing in this line, and then you got to move to that line, and then you got to move to this line. That's bureaucracy. It's just too many layers sometimes to get something done. Now, as in the world of COVID and how things are now, you have to go one place to make sure your temperature and all that is checked, and then you go to another place to check something else, all to make sure that everything is functioning the way it's supposed to. So that's bureaucracy. It was founded, or at least initiated, by someone by the name of Max Weber, W-E-B-E-R. You can read about him in your book. And he came up with 6 different components. I'll just tell you what they are. You can research them. There was the chain of command. What was the chain of command? Authority flows from the top to the bottom. Everybody knows that. You can follow the chain of command. If you work somewhere and your shift supervisor is on duty, that's who you talk to. If the shift supervisor is not on duty and there's a manager, you follow in the chain, then you go to the manager, okay? Division of labor. Our work is specialized. So you have chain of command, and then you have division of labor. And then you have the specification of authority, clear lines of authority. So if there's a president and a vice president, they can't do the same thing at the same time. So there should be clear lines of authority between who's doing what and when. There should be some goal orientation, some clear structure about how we're going to do what it is we want to do. What are the rules? What are the processes? It should be impersonality. What does that mean? All employees, everyone is treated equally. Now, we know we got to work on that because we know that doesn't happen that often in a lot of places. And then productivity. What is it that we're trying to accomplish? The productivity of it. So if you work somewhere and your goal is to create so many dolls in an hour, how do you make sure that people are being able to do that? What supplies do they need to make that happen? Okay? So there's 6 components of a bureaucracy. 1, chain of command. 2, division of labor. 3, specification of authority. 4, goal orientation. 5, impersonality. And 6, productivity. Those are the 6 components of bureaucracy. So when we talk about it, there's several different things, and these terms you can look up in your book. One is called distributed intelligence. Another one is called the wastebasket theory. What does that mean? Inefficient evidence or inefficient departments or processes can be eliminated. And we know there's a lot of government waste, and we spend a lot of money to research stuff that we already know the answer to. So that's some stuff that we could probably take a look at in terms of wastebasket theory. Bureaucrats are considered career-long people that work for government. People that work in government generally have worked there for a long time. Because of whatever it does for them, they stay there. They don't go anywhere. Those jobs aren't the ones you're finding on the internet. And so it also talks about how we went from, in a government, in terms of how we hire people, how we went from hiring people that we knew, that was called the spoil system, to now hiring people based on a merit base. And that's still kind of iffy, because if the people that are part of the merit base have inside information, then they'll do much better on the test than those that don't know. And that happens as well in our government as too. It's very hard to remove people from a government position because of all the other little things, intangibles that are included in there. So you'll hear people say, just like they say about teachers, it's hard to get rid of a teacher, or it's hard to get rid of this type of person. And so why is that? It's because of some of those layers of bureaucracy and layers of inconsistencies that we have in our systems that have a lot to do with that. What we know is that our government is one of our largest employers. There's very different tiers to our government, from federal government, state government, local government. It is also associated with being a place that sometimes people get lost. People get complacent because they know it's kind of hard to fire them. How did we get here as a nation? That's just part of the makeup of America. And what's funny is that we think this is something that just happened. No, it's not. From the beginning of time in America, this has been how people have ran government. They hired people they knew, family, friends, or whatever, and the same thing happens today. They just make it look different on paper, but it's still happening today. It just looks different. It's just not as blatant. It's just not as clear. But some kind of way you like, now how they get that job when they have zero experience? And we could say that about the new nominee for the Supreme Court. She doesn't have any real legal experience in terms of being on the court. I think she's tried one case or two cases or something along those lines. So her experience is definitely not what either one of the other two justices is on there, with Justice Kagan and Sotomayor, and definitely can't stand in the shadow of what Ruth Bader Ginsburg had done. So people still get away with hiring their friends. It just looks different. So that's really about bureaucracy, is what it is. I would say look up the definition and be able to understand it in your words so you can have an understanding of what it means as it relates to government. Okay? Thank you so much, class. I look forward to hearing from you, and have a great day.